Hey guys, so we managed to get a 3D printer. The 3D one, yeah, those things are pretty cool, but we're still a little bit broke, so we only got the $700 one. It's cool though, but the only problem I ran into was that the instructions on the site were a bit misleading and convoluted, especially for the pre-assembled PrintrBot Simple with the heated bed. So I'm going to take you through the steps which I went through to set up my PrintrBot. If you're still on the fence about which PrintrBot to get, I would definitely recommend the pre-assembled one with a heated bed. This way you can print both PLA and ABS in addition to not having to bother calibrating your printer. So once we take everything out of the box, it should look something like this. I have some of the pieces assembled already, but yours should look pretty close. Here we have the printer, power supply, some sample filament, and some cables. Put your printer onto a hard surface where it won't shake too much. You want to make sure there's enough room for the arm to move back and forth. Once we have it on the hard surface, we want to attach the spool rack. This is where the filament spool actually goes. You just need a simple Allen key which is provided to attach it onto there. First connect the micro USB to the printer. Now come to your power supply, find the PCIe power cable, take that, and now we're going to plug that into the printer power, just like this. And we take our filament, put in our spool rack, and take the power cable for a power supply and plug that in. And once it's plugged in, you can turn it on to make sure that everything's running and it looks all good. Find the other end of the USB cable and plug that into your computer. So open up your browser and go to the PrintrBot setup website. And if we scroll around, we see that there's a lot of information here. At the top we have some instructions. These are mostly valid for only the one without the heated bed. So go to required downloads and click download. Wait a few seconds, and in here we'll find the software that we need to actually print with the PrintrBot. So the software which we use to print is called Cura, and there's actually a configuration file in this folder too for Cura, so you don't have to set up everything. So double click on the cura.dmg if you have a Mac and it'll install. I already have installed, so I just opened it up. So go to File at the top and click Open Profile. From here we'll actually navigate to our download folder and select the configuration file. The file will actually just load instantly, and now we don't really need to do anything else to configure the PrintrBot with Cura. To begin making our first print, we want to first go to File and then Load Model File in Cura, and then a box should pop up. From there, go to our folder that we downloaded and open up the spacer file. the spacer will actually be used on our printer to keep the filament spool in the proper area. So if we look at it, we have our 3D model and it looks pretty cool. Let's go to File, Print, and here is our control board for Cura. First we're going to click Connect and wait for our printer to connect with Cura, and then we're going to input a temperature for the extruder and a temperature for the bed. Before we actually put the filament into the printer, we have to heat it up, heat up the extruder, and so we're gonna do that and wait. Make sure you look at the graph because these two boxes are kind of finicky, so you have to make sure that the command's actually sent to your printer, and then wait a little bit. So approximately 5 minutes later, the extruder was at 210 degrees and the bed at 70, and now we actually add the filament to our printer. So you take the filament and push it into the extruder mechanism, and there's a little hole under the wheel, and you can actually press down on the lever and push it down. And then when we go back to our dashboard, you can actually click extrude 10 millimeters and get it to push some material out. You want to check this to make sure that the extruder is clean before you start printing. Going back to our Cura dashboard here, we click Print and our printer should start printing. Okay, so once your print is done, it should take around 30 minutes. You'll get a piece looking like this. I had pre-printed mine, and then you actually take this piece and put it on the top of your printer. This will help keep your spool from wiggling around too much when you actually have a real spool on there. Okay, now the final print that we actually want to do before our printer is completely set up is to print out our fan shroud. So we go back to the PrintrBot website and you'll find it under printable files, and the file looks like this. Here I copied it to the desktop before I opened it up in Cura. So you just go to File, Load File, and open it. Not that one. Go to Desktop, and here we have it. Now we open it, and it shows up right next to our other piece. So we backspace and delete that. Move this to the center, and here's our fan shroud. So this fan shroud actually goes on the fan pointing towards the extruder tip. The final thing we need to actually know about before we're done is we need to know how to benchmark. So a benchmark is a print which we know what the result should look like. And the best one I found out so far about is 3D Benchy. It's a boat shape which does a lot of printing techniques which are actually difficult for a printer to do. So when we go to the 3D Benchy site, you can download the STL file and then load that into Cura like we did previously. Okay, so these are actually some benchmarks I printed out. This was my first benchmark without the fan shroud. As you can see, it looks a little lumpy. So then I put on the fan shroud and printed out another one. So if we look on the one on the right, the lines are way cleaner. We still get the little bits of plastic here and there, and I'm still working those out. But you can tell, especially on the chimney of the tugboat, that the print is much cleaner. On a different color, you actually wouldn't get the lines of the internal structure, so that's why I also print out another benchmark in a gold filament, and you can see that's it's a pretty clean print, though it does need to be cleaned up quite a bit. So thanks for watching. Sub if you want more.